Well, hello, Arrowsmith. It's Roger Uzinga. Pastor Roger just wanted to take a few minutes again to make another little video here and to just walk you around a few things in the church. You can see here probably, those of you who are familiar with the church, that I'm standing in sort of the foyer of the church area, and I'm just going to do a little bit of a show and tell today. It's only going to take a few minutes long, but I'd like to just point out a few things that are happening here at the church that we can be involved in. Some of them actually here in the church building, others just that you could connect with in various ways through the church. So I'm going to just walk us around and take us through a few points, all right? So hope you enjoy this. All right, and here's my first stop, and I'm at the board in the foyer as well, and you can see here that it says Nehemiah, and you know, if you've been following along with our Sunday sermons, that we are working through a series in Nehemiah. And that's the first thing I wanted to point you out, just remind you that you can join us Sunday mornings live, of course, through our live stream of our Sunday morning services. Now, the next thing I wanted to point out here, you probably can't, of course, read this from there, but it is our sort of 8 major steps of the transitional process. And the first step, of course, was closure. And we're sort of still working through a little bit of closure as Pastor Leland, after 13 years with us at the church, has moved on and has just recently retired. And now I'm stepping in as a transitional pastor to help us through this period of time. So there's some adjustments that take place in the course of closure, including one of the significant ones is just a grieving process of being able to say goodbye and to just sort of express our sorrow at the leaving of our senior pastor. And it's, of course, particularly difficult during this time of COVID when we can't even get together. So we're going to keep working at how we can express our grief and our loss during this period of time. Now, the next step on that process is actually regaining stability as a church and sort of finding our footing again. And again, I'd have to say that this is another challenging process during this time of COVID when we can't actually meet together. I actually took a course recently, sort of a 2-day extensive course on transitional pastors leading, and one of the things that they started out with right away was that this was their special COVID edition of being a transitional pastor. And one of the things they said was that the unique thing about pastoring during a transitional season is that you can get stuck during this COVID season on that second phase of regaining stability for quite some time, because not only does the church have to regain stability from having lost its long-term senior pastor, but also now regaining stability after this odd season of COVID, which has kept us all apart from one another and away from our gathering at our church home here in the facility. So we're going to work through that as well, but expect that work to go on for some time. And some of the other processes we won't really be able to complete fully until we get through that process of regaining stability to the point where we can actually gather again and meet face to face. So we'll keep working on that. The other thing that I'm pointing out here is that we have drop-in prayer happening. And I'm going to take you into the sanctuary in just a moment to sort of give you a little bit of a picture of what drop-in prayer looks like. And then finally, there is a Wednesday night study group and fellowship, which happens every other week on Wednesday. And the next one is going to be on, we had it on the 13th and 17th, so 2 weeks from now on the Wednesday, it's going to happen again. Join us for that. That's on Zoom. And then finally, of course, the ladies' Bible study group is still meeting on Thursday mornings, now, of course, by Zoom, again at 9:45 in the morning. So there's some things that you can be involved in. I'm going to take you into the sanctuary and talk a little bit more about the drop-in prayer. And here I am back again. Now I'm in the sanctuary, of course, and you can see your sanctuary. For those of you who haven't been in here for a while, maybe it's nice for you to get a little glimpse again of the sanctuary. What I'm kind of giving you is the stage view of the sanctuary. So for those of us who do find ourselves on the stage looking into the auditorium and into the people who are gathered, this is sort of the view that we get. But I also wanted to show you that if you look at the back there, you can see that there's a tripod set up like almost right in the middle of the sanctuary. And if you haven't, again, been in the sanctuary on a Sunday morning for quite some time, here's kind of the new look. We have sort of set a little visual screening spot right in the middle of the sanctuary to sort of give our home audience now sort of the perfect view, or at least as best a view as we can with a camera from inside our sanctuary. So if you can imagine on Sunday mornings, if you're watching on your TV, you are sitting like central, right in the center of the sanctuary while you watch. So we're trying to give you, again, the best view that we possibly can. And I wanted to also point out that this is also where we do the drop-in prayer. And right now, drop-in prayer has been meeting on Wednesdays, every other Wednesday. We just had one this past Wednesday, so it'll be again next Wednesday. And we do 2 of them during the day, one at 1 in the afternoon until 3, and it's open for that whole time, 1 to 3. You can come and drop in at any time for personal prayer. Pray for the church, pray for the community, pray for your family, all of those things. And you can come into this sanctuary, which, Jesus himself said that the house of God is supposed to be a house of prayer. And that's what we're trying to continue happening even during this COVID period, that this sanctuary remains a house of prayer for us to gather and pray in. Now, we can't gather in groups, of course, but we can have multiple people in the sanctuary because it's a large room, of course, and we can keep the proper distance from one another and still adhere to the provincial guidelines. And interestingly enough, Dr. Bonnie Henry even says within the provincial guidelines that drop-in personal prayer is allowed to happen in sanctuaries across the province. So far be it from us to miss an opportunity like that, since we're allowed to. So we're opening up every other Wednesday, and we're actually going to make a little bit of a trial run this next week at even trying to do it every Wednesday. So if you come by next Wednesday, even though it's the off week, we will be here, the sanctuary will be open, and we will be inviting people to see if there's enough momentum for people to come every Wednesday during the daytime from 1 until 3. Any time during that time span, come, drop in, and spend some time in prayer. We also give you a little bit of direction on some things that you could pray for, and that's another thing that's made available to you. So you don't have to just come in and try to fill a period of time by yourself with what you can think of to pray. We'll actually give you some things and some directions to pray into. So that's available too. Come by, and we'll just see if there's enough momentum. We have been having people show up, so if there's enough momentum, if people want to continue to come, and if those numbers even grow, we'll expand it even more. All right? So that's another thing that's happening. So you can see I've come out of the sanctuary again, and I'm standing again by this board here that tells us the things that are happening in our church. And I wanted to point out again, this is in regards to the drop-in prayer. You can see we have a little prayer section here. And over here is the sheet that you'll find that gives you some information to pray through, or some things that you could guide your prayer. You can see that there's cards here, index cards, and some other colored sticky notes here. And we invite you to write down prayer requests as well. So if you come into the sanctuary with some things on your heart, you can either write them on the index card and drop them in the box here, or you can write them on a sticky note, and we've got pens here for you to write on as well, and you can actually stick them on the wall here. And this is going to kind of become our prayer wall as well. And my hope is that it sort of gets filled up with the prayers that we're praying for our community, the prayers that we're praying for one another and for the church, and perhaps personal requests as well. All right, so there you go. There's a number of things that you can get involved in there, and we're going to keep trying new things and see where we get momentum, and we're just going to lean into those places where we get momentum. All right, so thank you for this little update, this little show and tell through the church, and God bless you, and I hope you have a great week. See you later.